swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash with a silver hat about his head and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
You know what I like to do? Just follow me on this one.
Yo, what's good? What's good? Salute to everybody in the building. Get a thumbs up if y'all can hear me. Appreciate everybody pulling up. Raider Ryan, Billy D, what's good? LV-R, appreciate you. Salute everybody. Man, if y'all can hear me, let me get a thumbs up so I'm not just talking to myself. Lawrence, what's good? What's good, my guy? Salute, salute. Thumbs up if y'all can hear me. Thumbs up. Appreciate it. Mark Calbone, what's good? What's good? Appreciate you pulling up, my brothers. So, the Raiders lose another game they could have won, right? Down 5, 3 minutes left. We have them at a 3rd and 5. The ball's overthrown. And all of a sudden, it's a horrible, horrible holding call by Harper. And that gives them a first down. But then we have him on a 2nd and 11. And AP makes us, to me, in my opinion, what I believe is just a stupid call, right? At the time, there's 3:42 left in the ball game. You have 3 timeouts. You have them at a 2nd and 11, not in field goal range. And you call a timeout, which I was very shocked at the point. I was like, man, you got a 2-minute warning coming up. You know, it's a 2nd and 11. Let them run the 40 seconds or whatever. They were already looked to the line of scrimmage. It didn't look like they were trying to run the clock because our defense could not stop them and get off the field. And we call a timeout. And the very next play, the same thing that's happened all season long. Patrick Graham makes a call, leaves the middle of the field wide open. Divine Diablo doesn't cover his guy, doesn't blitz, and pretty much stands at the line of scrimmage while the tight end goes absolutely wide open for a touchdown. And that's ball game, right? So you can say, it wasn't coaching or it's not stupid decisions. But when you're down by 5 in a game that we should not even be in, really, because our defense could not stop the offense one single time, I don't think, the whole game, and we end up losing. What can you do, right? What can you do? Shout out everybody in the building. What are y'all's thoughts? Do you think AP has a job next year? What does he have to do to keep his job next year? There's a lot of reports, a lot of rumors saying AP's good for next year, but I said on my last live, I really do believe that with all the scenarios, the injuries, the not getting his quarterback, the fact that Mark Davis is tired of paying guys that aren't working in the building. We're already paying, 3 guys right now that are not on the staff, that are not on the roster. Sorry, I'm breathing hard. I got a massive toothache, and it's really killing me, but got to go live for the nation, got to talk about the stuff going on because there's a lot going on, right? We're 4th, I do believe, for a draft pick. So, yeah, let's get into the chat. What's good? Raider Ryan, Shout out. I'm not even mad we lost. Numb for weeks. I hear you, bro. I hear you. Let's see. AP as a player coach. AP wanted to please Adams, who ain't even on the team now. I don't, I don't think he wanted to please Adams. I think the fact that how it went down, the whole, you know, he's going to play in the preseason. He's not going to play in the preseason. He doesn't end up playing. Made Antonio Pierce look bad. And really, Getsy couldn't make it work with the offensive coordinator that Devontae Adams wanted brought in. So, I mean, when your star player is rooting for a guy, wants him brought in, and they can't make it work, it's just problems. I've said, since day one, there's just problems going on in the building. Not everybody's on the same page. I think people have different visions of where they want this team to go, and it's kind of hard to say, who's really in charge. Heard you loud and clear, right on. I got all that shit. AP needs to go. Defense looks like ass, and the run game is giving up yak yards. But that's not Antonio Pierce, right? That's on Patrick Graham, and that's been Patrick Graham's MO since he's been a defensive coordinator. In Miami with the Giants, everywhere you go. I mean, just look at the record for the teams he's been defensive coordinator on, and look at how many running yards and yak yards after the fact. We have guys on this team that just can't tackle. Divine Diablo, I've said it a million times on this channel. The man couldn't tackle a mannequin in a department store. Like, once in a while, he'll have a good tackle, but the rest of the time, it's it's just bad, bro. It's bad. Wide open guys, blown coverage. We got guys like, man, Amari Gaynor sitting on the sideline in pass protection downs when he should be on the field, and run protection downs, run plays, he should be on the field, and the man just barely gets on the field. So, yeah, I think Antonio Pierce time is up, and he's going to have to do something spectacular, like beat the Chiefs at home and win it, at least 6 games this year. He's going to have to win 4 out of these next, what do we got, 7 games? I just don't see that being possible. You can't go, 3-14 and expect to keep your job in the NFL. That's just not going to happen, right? Not going to happen no matter what your contract is. But again, like I said, Mark Davis has to be tired of this coaching carousel of, paying coaches that aren't on his staff and aren't doing anything for the players on his staff. So will he get another year with his quarterback this year in the draft? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But as it looks right now, for me, I would clean house. I would fire Patrick Graham. I would fire Antonio Pierce, and I would fire everybody they brought in. I wouldn't keep anybody. Okay, Rob Leonard, I think maybe I'd keep. But even his defensive line hasn't looked great this year. I mean, you have to admit, right? He hasn't really done shit with Tyree Wilson. Adam Butler's been a star on this team, hasn't getting, play time. The guys just aren't putting the right personnel. So I would blow up the whole roster. New England Raiders Booster was good, my guy. Appreciate you pulling up. Exactly, LVR didn't choose Getsy. Hold up. Wait, what? Go back. Wait, what? Who didn't choose Getsy? Fuck, did I sound like shit? Feel like shit? Who's the next coach? Billy B or Babel? At this point, it's probably looking at Mike Vrabel. I mean, if you look at his record with the Titans, it's like 48-37 or 36 minus the 6-11, I think, the last 2 years. But he did a damn good job with the bridge quarterback. The defense was solid. The run game was always good. And, his ties with Mark Brady, Tom Brady. I'm gonna keep calling him Mark Brady, bro, because those two just I don't know what's going on with those two. But yeah, the ties with Tom Brady, Mark Brady, however you want to call it, it all signs, point to either Belichick or Vrabel, but there's a lot of coaches out there, and we know, at least I know from what I've read, that you know Antonio Pierce was not number one on the list when it comes to Tom Brady choices for head coaches last year, and you know he was trying to get Mark Brady to Mark Davis to do a more extensive search, at the head coaching thing. But Mark was kind of sold on this thing. So, he did his own thing. He hired Antonio Pierce, and it hasn't turned out very well. You can make excuses about the offensive coordinator and Getsy, but Antonio Pierce has said over and over again, and the coaching staff was Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce brought in this coaching staff. He brought in Getsy. He said he brought in Getsy from, I keep repeating myself, but what he did to us with the Bears and Tyson Badgett, Tyson Badgett came in and whooped our ass, just made Patrick Graham look very, very bad with a very solid defense that was playing well at the time and didn't really have many injuries. So that was AP's doing. AP brought him in, and it took him a long time to swallow his pride and admit that was the wrong choice. And took too long, in my opinion. It should have been, the writing was on the wall right off the bat. The players weren't happy. Shit wasn't going well. The quarterbacks were just awful no matter who we put in. And you took a pretty decent Aiden O'Connell with a Bo Hardegree that never ever been an NFL coach in anything and did a pretty damn good job last year, and they blew it up. So AP needs to go. Defense looks like ass. I read all that shit. Yep, Shona Smith wide open. Gotcha. Fuck. Mark 100%. AP and Adams want to get see. Oh yeah, for sure. But hey, you have to give him some kind of credit because Cliff Kingsbury was Antonio Pierce's first choice. He tried to bring in Cliff Kingsbury, and they really wanted to go get a quarterback. It just didn't work out for him last year. So we have to give Antonio Pierce a little bit of credit. It didn't go through, but he doesn't sign the checks. It was up to Mark Davis to give, Cliff Kingsbury what he wanted, but you can't give your offensive coordinator a bigger contract than your head coach. It just looks bad in my opinion. Again, I'm just speculating. I don't know what Antonio Pierce's contract is. Some say it's, 16 million 2 years. Some say it's 10 million 2 years. I've never heard anybody say it's 3 years. But you can't blame Kingsbury, when you got a shot to go get one of the best prospects to come out of college football in a long, long time. 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions his senior year. The man is an absolute freak of nature. And when you're an offensive coordinator, bro, how could you not? How could you pass on a chance to go coach with a guy that's, been to a Super Bowl, is a known coach in the NFL, knows how to get guys to play for him, and all you got to do is run an offense and with a star, rookie quarterback. You can't blame the guy. I can't. A lot of people in the nation will, but of course, Adam want to get. Yeah, I know. We all know Adams want to get see, but then Adams bailed because he wanted Aiden O'Connell, and they went with the wrong quarterback. We all know the story. It's on Pierce, he's minded coach. he's not really a defensive minded coach. I mean, he played defensive coordinator, and yeah, he was a linebacker, but he's really not anything in the NFL. So he was a linebacker coach for what, a year and a half. Yes, he's a defensive minded coach, but he's never been a defensive coordinator in NFL. You definitely don't have the experience Patrick Graham has. Any other coach like Josh McDaniel, Gruden, etc., get help responsibility for the offense. Bill gets held responsible for the defense. AP needs to. I mean, yeah, he's got to take responsibility, and he has. You know, he stood up there again and again and said, "It's it's not to the standards. It's not what he holds the team to the standards." And what more can you do, bro? Like, he's not an offensive coordinator. He can't call plays himself, and obviously he made a huge mistake and didn't think that Scott Turner was the guy to go with last year, right? Scott Turner was there. He had a chance to say, "Hey, let's make Scott Turner, who's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL, who's been there, done that, let's promote him to offensive coordinator." No, he decided to go with, Bo Hardegree, and that worked out very well. We had a solid ass run game. We had a good passing game with a fourth round quarterback that looked very well last year. You know, the more the more Bo Hardegree started to, bring his own play style into the playbook that we had, they looked a lot better, and you can't deny that. Not even if even if you're not a Raiders fan, you can't deny that Aiden O'Connell and this offense was rolling down the stretch last year, and we blew that all up. You know, they let Bo Hardegree go, they bring in Getsy, and now they're going with Scott Turner because the guy wasn't good enough last year, but he's good enough this year. I just don't understand. I don't understand AP's thinking. He's just not cut out for this, bro. He's not built for this head coaching yet. Maybe in a couple years, when he gets more experience. But like I said, the timeouts, the clock management, the personnel management is my number one thing. You're the head coach. You should be saying who you want in and who you don't want in. You're there at practice like everybody else, like Patrick Graham. And if you see guys, on the defense that you think should be in there as a head coach, you should be saying, "Hey, put this guy in." You know, maybe Patrick Graham just has a thing with playing young guys. I don't know, but I haven't seen that in the past. Belichick, Salah, defensive coordinator, OC, maybe Scott Turner if he can show something as OK. Yeah, I mean, look, we know how it goes in the NFL, dude. Like, Salah got blamed for a horrible, horrible offense with a very, very bad, washed up Aaron Rodgers with one of the best receivers in the NFL, and they can't get it done. And it's supposed to have one of the best defenses. So the man took the axe, and they haven't won a game. But okay, they won what, one game since he's been fired. So, and everybody's calling for AP, the same thing. Fire AP, fire AP. We got to give these coaches some kind of chance. Like, I know it's going to be rough and it's going to be a longer rebuild. And if he doesn't win another game, then, bro, you got to give him the boot. But if he can at least somehow pull out 6 wins, I say roll with them for another year. Why pay another coach for another year to sit at home like it's welfare? Like, sit at home and do nothing, bro. Play PlayStation, get paid. What do you think about Brian Flores? I think Brian Flores would be a great, great coach. He's kind of been, some say, blackballed in the NFL from the head coaching thing. But, I mean, another defensive minded guy, you could get rid of Patrick Graham. You can call plays on defense. You can bring in a coordinator, a young coordinator if you want, to kind of bring under your wing and call plays. And you get in a good OC. But what OCs are there that are going to come? The good OCs have jobs. I could think of a couple OCs that I would bring in that if you could pull them away. But I think of a couple OCs that I'd bring in as head coach also. Like, damn it, I don't know where my phone went. But The hell's that guy's name in Tampa Bay? The Tampa Bay offensive coordinator. Sorry, bro. I'm messed up at trying to think right now. I'm messed up at trying to talk right now, but you know, anybody at this point would be better than Antonio Pierce. I love Antonio Pierce. I want Antonio Pierce to succeed. I love the mentality he brings. I love the fact that he loves the Raiders, that he's been a Raiders fan, that he wants his franchise to succeed. But I think right now he's just holding it back and he's hurting it. He's not ready. Could he be? Possibly, but is he gonna flip a switch overnight, in the off season and become this great defensive minded play calling, you know, he don't even have to call plays, but game manager, personnel manager. Right now, these guys, they haven't quit on him. Like I said, they were in the Miami game. It was a real close game. I thought we had a chance to win. But then you make stupid decisions and your team does stupid mistakes. And, again, I've said this before. I've heard other people say it before. When you have one or two guys making mistakes over and over again, that's on the player. But when you have a bunch of guys constantly making huge mistakes in crucial moments, that's on the head coaching. It's 100% on the head coach. What's up, Raider Nation? 2-year plan and function. I'm on the understanding they need. Here, let's put this up there so everybody can see it. I'm on the understanding there needs to be a 3 or 4 year. The crew was already clipped by a 2-year offer OC who wasn't given Jaden Daniels. Do you really want to give? So you're saying, let me ask this question, make sure I'm correct. So you're saying Antonio Pierce needs to be 4 years before shit clicks or turns around or he gets in the system he wants or the team he wants? I mean, I know 2-year plans never function, but most of those 2-year plans have incentives that, if you win so many games or you make it to the playoffs, then you get another 2 or 3 year contract, or, it's a 5-year contract, but you have to win so many games to get the rest of the years. I don't know if that's this situation, but I know 2-year plans usually don't work. Most guys are not going to come in and turn a team around in 2 years. Yes, I totally agree with you. But when you take a team, now, mind you, you have a superstar, Max Crosby. You have solid players like Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Moreg, Marcus Epps, Robert Spillane in the middle. We have key pieces to this defense, and we had key pieces. Now, was the defense great? No. But when Dick Daniels took over this team, they were projected to make the playoffs, to go, 11-6 or whatever they were projected to go, 10-5, with Devontae Adams, with Derek Carr. We were projected to go to the playoffs with a defense that wasn't even really good at the time. And then AP takes over a team that was projected to go to the playoffs with struggling quarterback, with a rookie quarterback. Devontae still has over 1,000 yards. We have a running back that comes in and runs for over 400 yards. Last year was a totally different scenario, so I just don't see how you give them 4 years. I mean, I know it takes 4 years to build a team, right, to turn a team around, but just look what they did in Houston. They had the 3rd pick, they moved up, they got the 4th pick, they went top 5 offense and defense. And they made the playoffs last year. They're probably going to make the playoffs this year, barring some kind of crazy shit. It's the NFL, you never know. But more than likely, they'll be in the playoffs next year. So teams can be turned around. And Antonio Pierce was given a pretty good team. Like, if you look at this roster on paper, a lot of people say there's a lot of holes. But you have a very, very young team that are, a lot of capable prospects of being all-stars given the right coaching. Now, I guarantee you, that if Belichick or, Harbaugh or one of these guys came over and took over this team last year, that this team would be totally different. We would be sitting at like 8-2. That's just my opinion. And I understand, he didn't get his offensive coordinator, didn't get his quarterback. So I think that's why they're going to give him his QB this year. Tatted Raider, what's good? What's good? I'm hoping the Turners are making a strong case for being extended into the next season. I want to see what they got cooking in the kitchen. I think they're good at something really special. Wait, I think there could be something really special there. Do you think they made that much an impression in this game? Because, I mean, I don't know. I thought the offense looked all right, but once again, we had no running game. The fact that they're still scared to play this damn kid, Dylan Labe, who is the best running back on this team. Sincere McCormick, bro. Sincere McCormick is a better running back than any of these guys have been all year. We're 2-8. What are they waiting for? Like, that's why I'm saying AP cannot be the head coach, because his mentality of letting these young guys sit, not get any play time unless they absolutely have to, it's killing this team and it's killing these young kids, man. Dylan Labe needs playtime. The kid is explosive. You're ruining his confidence. You're ruining, you're ruining a lot just letting that kid sit there and soak after he got one play and it was a fumble. That's just horrible coaching. Nobody does that. And that's not even mentioning the fact that you have no run game. You're averaging like 60 yards a game, bro. Like 2-point yards a carry, and you haven't given this kid a chance at all. That is not head coaching. Head coaching builds people up. Head coaching makes people better. You make the players better, and these players have gotten worse at tackling. They've gotten worse in coverage. They've gotten worse in every aspect. If you look at it, like they were solidly disciplined when he took over last year. 2 games, no penalties. 2 games in 9 games, no penalties. The first team to do that since 1965. What happened to that shit? You can't say that this dude hasn't lost the locker room, bro. I mean, to me, anyways. If we get Ward or Sanders, but do you think AP has? I mean, I don't know. I guess he did pretty good with Jaden Daniels, but I don't know who his offensive coordinator was when they were in Arizona. Maybe he can bring that dude in to help with the young quarterback, but Scott Turner had 8 quarterbacks when he was in Washington. I don't know all of them. None of them were really superstars. A couple of them could have been. But man, like 8 quarterbacks in two years at one team. I don't think Scott Turner's the guy, or North Turner, who just looked like he didn't even want to be there, sitting in the chair, frustrated as hell, got bruises all over his arms with patches. Like, come on, man. These guys are 70 something years old. We need young, innovative coaches on this team, just my opinion. Dylan Labe, 1 touch. Wait. Dylan Labe, 1 touch. Proves he don't know how to develop young players. 2, Abdullah is 31. Done shit and fumbled twice in the Steeler game, and fumbled once on the goal line was that the Steelers? No, that was the Broncos game, wasn't it? Fumbled on the Broncos game when we could have backed a one. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Antonio Pierce is favoritism, bro. Favoritism. And I'm just gonna stop at that. But there's no reason Amir Abdullah's 31-year-old ass doing absolutely nothing. Yes, he got a touchdown last week. He caught a wide open ball on the sideline, ran and dove 5 yards into the end zone. Great play, touchdown. But that doesn't make up for the minus 5 yards, minus 2 yards, minus 3 yards every time they touch the ball. Like, You have to develop young kids, and you can't develop young kids by giving them one touch, letting them fumble, and never letting them touch the ball or even suit up again. Like the kid hasn't even had his pads on, bro. Harbaugh 1 year, Peyton's 2 year. Yeah, I mean Peyton's second year. Is it his second or third year? But look at the Broncos, bro. The Broncos are rolling with Bo Nix, who everybody in the content world creation was saying Bo Nix was trash. All these gurus that say, they're film experts. Bo Nix will never be a top quarterback. Bo Nix will never be a starting quarterback. Bo Nix looks like the best quarterback in the draft right now. And another kid over there who's playing for a horrible team in New England, Drake May, which everybody said, "Oh, that's not a quarterback the Raiders need. We don't need that guy. We don't need Drake May's trash. He's not going to make it to NFL." That kid looks pretty damn solid also. So, shout out to those quarterback coaches and those offensive coordinators bringing those young guys along and having faith in these young guys, right? Fucking throw. Real head coach show improvement every year under a pre team has regressed. The team has regressed a lot, and a lot of it has to go on the coaching staff he brought in. I didn't dislike Luke Getsy. I was not a hater on Luke Getsy. I was saying fire Luke Getsy because he couldn't get the guys to perform for him, and you couldn't call the right plays in key moments. But other than that, if you could just continue what we did on the first drive or the first quarter of every game, I think this team would have been solid. But we have no defense to stop it, and that's Patrick Graham, bro, 100%. We have players on the team that are not playing. Then you have injuries, and you have no one to replace them. I I think we have guys to replace the injuries. Everybody keeps saying the depth on this team is trash. The depth on this team, we don't know. We don't know what they can do because they won't play them. they, we had some injuries. They go in and get a guy like Harper. They bring him in. They had Decamarion Richardson play some snaps, 2-5, which I thought is super fast out there. He definitely needs to work on his coverage a little bit. But I think that kid needs to be on the field more. Guys like Amari Gaynor, Dylan Labe, they brought in Ramel Keaton, re-signed him to the practice squad, then brought him up. Don't put him in the game. It's bad coaching, bro. It's bad coaching. And like I said, I like Antonio Pierce. I like what he was trying to do, but I just don't think he's the guy for the team if we're trying to win and build a win now team. Like a lot of these guys, like Max Crosby, I know people say he's going to play for another 4, 5, 6 years, whatever. But a lot of these guys aren't going to be on this team in 2 or 3 years. We're just going to be constantly rebuilding, and they're going to be hard to replace. We just need to get the pieces that we need to this missing, the missing puzzle pieces to this puzzle right now and roll with that. Shout out to everybody in the building. Larry Fleming, I appreciate you pulling up if I didn't shout out your name already. Absolutely. Lava led all-time receiving record in New Hampshire, and he ain't even gotten one screen pass. Dude, one screen pass, one drag route, one wheel route. Like, Dylan Labe could help this team a lot. And, the fact that Getsy didn't even try to let the kid, come into the game when he was balling out all offseason in every practice. They're constantly showing him making amazing catches. His speed is ridiculous for his size. He's just a little bowling ball. Dude, he's got muscle. He's got size. You got guys, right now playing the Joe Mixon from Houston. Like, that's not a huge guy, right? Everybody said he was too small to play in the NFL. This guy's just tearing it up right now. Like, these small guys can play in the NFL. It doesn't matter your size. Like, look at Barry Sanders. So the coaching staff is just not, it's not good at personnel. You have too many older people, old people, whatever you want to call it, that I think are, the game is just passed by, and they don't know how to use these guys and the knowledge and the speed and the athletic ability that they have. I think they're just blown away by it and don't really know what to do. Strategy, personnel, and play calling to try and secure one of the top two quarterbacks in the draft. So you're another one of those guys. I'm just asking, not being rude, but you're another one of those guys that think it's only a two quarterback race. Let me guess, Shador and Cam Ward are the only guys. And if it's not those guys, it's Jalen Milroe, right? I just want to know, because that's what everybody keeps saying. It's a two-man race. We need to get, one of the top two quarterbacks. I think there's more than top two quarterbacks in this race, and I think, you know, there's three guys that could be projected to be the top two. There's five guys that could be the top two quarterbacks in this draft. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but if you look at their stats, bro, and if you look at their quarterback rating, if you look at the strength and schedule, the defenses they play, there's a lot better quarterbacks than just those two. I mean, I love them both. I wouldn't mind having either one. I'm not gonna lie. Harbaugh and Peyton are seasoned vets, and they're already gone through the rankings to achieve success that they're experiencing. I mean, facts. So if that's the case, then why didn't we bring in an experienced seasoned vet, like a Vrabel or like a Belichick or, you know, Brian Flores or, a ton of these guys that have experience? Why did we take a shot at a guy who's been nothing but a linebacker coach for a year and a half? Like, how much success did he have, at Arizona State? I know he's a good leader of men. I know you can get guys to buy in and pick up what you're putting down, but is what he's putting down a winning formula? That is my question for Antonio Pierce. You want to be smash mouth, you want to run the ball, and you want to take deep shots, but you don't run the fucking ball and you don't throw the ball down the field. Like, I don't understand your strategy. I don't understand the strategy for a head coach that says he wants to be smash mouth, run the ball, and take shots down the field. But we never take shots down the field. In the last 3 games, we've taken one shot down the field over 20 yards. In the last 6 games, I think we've taken one shot down the field over 25 yards. That's just absolutely horrible for a head coach that says he has a vision, that knows what he wants to do. And I'm sorry, like, it's just time to move on from Antonio Pierce. The more I talk about it and the more I think in my head the shit that comes up that he says that he doesn't do, he's just not the guy. Like, he's not the guy. And if we give him one more year and we get this quarterback, Shador Sanders or Cam Ward or, what's that kid in Indiana, Rook or Jackson Dart or any of these kids, is he going to destroy them in the first year? Are they going to play? Are they going to sit on the bench? Are they going to sit on the bench and watch Gardner Minshew? I mean, what is the plan? What is the plan here? I just don't think, with the way the quarterback scenario went this year, starting Gardner Minshew over Aiden O'Connell that had success with the receivers, with the offensive line, with the offense that we had, and bringing a guy like Gardner Minshew who never beat him out, and to think that that was the plan for success just scares me, to think that this is the guy that people want to bring our next quarterback, along. And Deion Sanders has said he wants his kid to go to a team that has successfully built quarterbacks, that has successfully brought in quarterbacks, brought them along, has successfully groomed quarterbacks, coaches that know how to use his kid. how to know how to use his talents. And Antonio Pierce is not that guy. He has not used anybody's talents on this team. Max Crosby's regressed. Max Crosby don't get any pressures, and yeah, I know he's double teamed, but if you're a defensive minded coach, shouldn't you be helping Patrick Graham saying, look, this is what we have to do to free up Max Crosby, and these other guys need to step up and do something and help this team, which I've seen they have. The defense played their best game of the year when Max Crosby wasn't in it, and I'm the biggest Max Crosby fan. I love Max Crosby, but we played our best football without Max Crosby, and that's scary. And since he's been in there, like, this defense is the worst in the NFL in every single category. If not the worst, we're in the bottom three. My quarterback is Sanders, Ward, Gabriel is my top four in order. Then it goes Curtis Rourke, who is second and third round quarterback. See, Curtis Rourke has a better arm, a better QBR, better pocket presence than all of those quarterbacks you named, except for maybe Cam Ward. I do like his pocket presence. He's very, very aware. But Shador Sanders takes a whole lot of sacks. He holds the ball an awful lot. And most of his yardage is thrown to one of the best receivers in college football who plays offense, defense, and special teams, and Travis Hunter. And just like, just like Jaden Daniels over there last year, who had three of the best receivers in college football, this kid has pretty good offensive line, a pretty good running game. Their defense has come on awful, awful strong lately. They do give up points, but they come up big when they need it. I like Shador Sanders. I like Shador, but I don't think this team needs the drama. And I know that's who's going to end up being the quarterback. But there's just so many other ways we can go to build this team to get better. Like you said, Curtis Rourke, second or third round quarterback. I just don't see that dude falling out of the second round. There's too many teams that could take that could use a quarterback like that. I mean, come on, bro. He's better than he's way better than Pickett, and that dude was drafted in the first round, right? So come on, these quarterbacks are a way better. Every quarterback you named right there, except for Gabriel because he's 6 foot, and that kind of scares me. All those guys are better than a lot of quarterbacks that have been drafted in the first round the last 5 years. What do we got? This class has depth at quarterback, but the hype around those two, and I'm sure there's a few hidden gems in the class too. Yeah, the hype is around those two, especially because one, Shador is Deion Sanders' son. But I just don't think if he was not Deion Sanders' son, that the hype would be so big around Shador. I don't. I love what he's done in Colorado. Like I said, the kid is absolutely amazing. But he's not a mobile quarterback. Can he make plays with his legs? Yes. Does he? No. Most of the time he takes sacks. Most of the time he holds the ball too long. Can those things be fixed in the NFL? Yes. If you have the right coach, the right quarterback coach, yes. But do the Raiders ever have the right quarterback coach and the right coach? No. Like, I really like Jackson Dart. I really like Jackson Dart for a lot of reasons. For one, he's very accurate. For two, he's very mobile. He's durable. If he gets hurt, he plays hurt. He's a very, very good leader. He's come from behind. He's played in the SEC against, outstanding top 10 defenses over and over and over again this year, and just destroying teams, just destroying teams against my Razorbacks, who have a pretty solid defense and have played 5 top 10 teams this year, or 5 top 15 teams. Man destroyed almost 600 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Just an absolute freak of nature. And like I said, we have very good corners, very good safeties, and the man just destroyed them. So I really like Jackson Dart. I like the fact again, Lane Kiffin has been an NFL coach. And if you don't know who Lane Kiffin is, I don't know how old y'all are, but he was coach of the Las Vegas Raiders at one time. Did not do very good, was 5-20 in his tenure as a Raider, but he was also 31, and he was the youngest coach in the history of the NFL. So I give him a little mulligan on that. And besides, he didn't have a very good team at all. So I give him another mulligan on that. But to my point, is Jackson Dart is coached by Lane Kiffin, you know, who's coached a lot of very, very, very good quarterbacks, has been around a lot of very good coaches, and has NFL experience. So that to me, gives him a big, big upside. And the fact that he plays in the SEC and the level of competition he plays is just way better than Shador Sanders. And yes, there are some hidden gems. There are a lot of hidden gems in this draft, offense and defense. Shador has one of the worst O-lines in college football and is still making Sanders, to me, number one quarterback, in my opinion. Yeah, we'll see. Come talk to me after playoffs. Like I'm not saying Shador is bad. I'm just saying the hype, the bling bling. Like I'm tired of falling for the hype. I fell for the hype with Antonio Pierce for the first time in a long time. I jumped on the hype train. It was like, damn, maybe this dude is seriously could turn this shit around. He loves the Raiders. He wants to turn the organization around. He's actually a fan first. And and that didn't work out very good. Like, it was all hype. I'm not falling for that shit. And the main reason I really don't like Shador is because Mark Davis is in love with that dude. And Mark Davis is a horrible, horrible judgment of football and character. Like, he goes for the flash, for big names. Just look at Brady. I'm not saying Brady has anything bad when it comes to football, but 70-yard field goal with Janikowski. What? Dart is third favorite quarterback. My top 5 for the Raiders. Look, this would be my scenario. If I was I'm playing general manager Raiders Rebel in the house. I'm taking, if we're fourth or third or whatever we are, right? Whatever we are, I'm taking best player available. Best player available, whether it's offense, defense, I'm taking that dude. But I'm only taking him because I have a plan. Because whoever's the next team above me, I'm already on the phone with them. I've already made a deal, and I'm taking their pick too. Yes, I'm playing the Houston Texans, and I'm taking back-to-back picks in the first round, and that's going to turn this franchise around tremendously, tremendously. Whether it's 2 offensive players, if you could get a running back and a quarterback, I mean, that come on, we're not taking a running back in the first round, right? But if you have a Ashton Genty sitting there with a Cam Ward or a Shador Sanders, and you have a chance to pull back to backs, that yeah, hit them thumbs up. Appreciate it. Sack them likes. If you're new to the channel, what's good? Check out some other videos. Subscribe if you like what you see. But that's what I'm doing. Look what it did to the Houston Texans. And we have 10 picks, right? We have 10 picks. We have players like Colton Miller. Shout out to Colton Miller. Let me get a thumbs up in the chat, or the clap. Let me get the clappy emoji in the chat for Colton Miller. Was the highest graded player last week for the Raiders. 93 grade. What's good, my guy? 93, 92.3, 93, whatever, 90-something% grade. 50 snaps, 0 pressures. Colton Miller starting to come back. Gentry, too many miles. Who's Gentry? Oh, Genty. Genty don't have too many miles, bro. That dude's a beast. He's a machine out there, and you could say he's got too many miles because he runs the ball absolutely crazy, but he's never. I mean, don't ever look hurt to me, and it looks like none of those hits that he takes bothers him. But the dude, for his size, is short and is bulky, as fast and durable as he is. Come on, man! If you could get two of those guys in the first round, to me, that's just a steal. But I mean, either way, if you could get a top defensive player, another corner, because we definitely need a corner, offensive line, defensive line, however it works out. But if you could get a quarterback, and then the next pick behind that, or even a pick or two somewhere in there, move up and get another guy. I think this team turns around very, very quickly. But first off, you got to have the head coach to do it. And I just don't think Antonio Pierce is the guy to turn this team around. I think, like I said, you know, he was handed a team that was very, very fed up with the drill sergeant, small man complex that Dick Daniels was trying to coach with. Didn't want to listen to the players, didn't want to listen to the coaches. It was his way or the highway. And that just didn't carry over well for the team. And I think when Antonio Pierce took over, I think, it sparked the team and it gave them a spark. But then when you come out and you lose and you lose and you lose and you lose, and then you got players bitching, about the way practices are going, accountability, discipline, all that shit. When your top player that vouched for your head coach to come in is bitching about all the stuff that he was bitching about the year before that got the guy fired, it just doesn't look good for Antonio Pierce. Would you trade Max Crosby at the end of the season? I would have traded Max Crosby at the deadline. I would have traded Max Crosby at the deadline. And here's why. Max Crosby is a stud. But Max Crosby, in my opinion, don't get mad and come kill me, Max, I don't think can ever be Defensive Player of the Year on the Raiders. Because by the time we have a good enough team, offense and defense, I think he's going to be too old. And I think we're ruining his career. And on top of that, I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I think he would do much better on a better defense, on a better scheme. He gets double team, triple team way too much. Now maybe next year, because last year with Malcolm Kuntz in there, it was a totally different Max Crosby, right? So I mean, it depends on what you get for him. Now, people are crazy talk saying 3 first rounds. Nobody's going to give you 3 first rounds for Max Crosby. If they do, I'm taking that all day. But it depends on what teams, like if it's the Lions, who might win the Super Bowl next year, and you'll get a 30th pick, you know, next year, and whatever their pick is this year, no. But the Steelers, that's a very team that could very well compete for a Super Bowl this year, just the way their defense is playing. They got a solid run game. They got a veteran quarterback. I mean, I don't know where they pick next year. You know, maybe, maybe, but they already got beast. It just depends. It depends. But like I said, I want Max Crosby to succeed, and I just don't think it's going to be anytime soon with the Las Vegas Raiders and the problems we have everywhere, all around the board. Whether it's coaching, we don't have a number one wide receiver. We have, two tight ends that they don't know how to use. And yes, you could say the man had 13 catches for 224 yards, but it could be so much better, right? So much better if you just opened it up a little bit, wasn't throwing to the guy, 5 yards and letting him take so much abuse, constantly getting hit by 3, 4, 5 guys every time he touches the ball. That, there's a lot of shit. But to answer your question, short term, I mean, yes, I would trade Max Crosby if you could get enough for Max Crosby. And the reason why, again, is Malcolm Kuntz is, in my opinion, has the potential. Yes, he was hurt. Yes, it was only 1 year. But if you watch tape on the man, if you look at his technique, his speed, his get off, the his starting to become a leader, learning from Max Crosby. I think Malcolm Kuntz's upside is just through the roof and through the ceiling. And when you got guys like Caleb Von Chasen, who's been coming on, getting pressures, getting sacks, making tackles, I mean, yeah, we we have guys. You have guys like Tyree Wilson, forced fumble last week. I mean, we have more players than we think on the defensive line. And if you can get, like I said, a first round this year, a first round next year, a player, a high caliber running back, or even a second and a third, why not? I mean, why not? We're in a total rebuild, right? There's only a couple of those 21 players that are free agents that are going to make it on this roster next year. Most of them are going to be down the road, which I don't want to see because I like a lot of players on this team. But there's a lot of players that are getting paid to not contribute because they're not being used. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. There's 9 people in here. Would you trade Max Crosby? Just Raiders, baby. What's good? Salute, my brother. Appreciate you pulling up. Bowers is a Darren type tight end. What? Darren who? Darren Waller? Receiving tight end is our number one. People underestimate Jacoby Myers, and with Myers as well as play. Wide receiver Myers, tight end Jacoby, wide receiver 2, Tucker in the slot. Well, Tucker doesn't get used at all, and when you do throw him the ball, if it's not a perfect catch, the dude falls down or dives like he was, trying to go for the ball. I'm not sold on Tucker. I heard all the type on Trey Tucker, and I really like Trey Tucker. I want him to succeed. Man, I want anybody that's on the Raiders to succeed. But Trey Tucker is just not it. I don't see the man getting open. I don't see him, with his speed. And I know they're not running plays for him. They're not giving him a chance. And that comes down to the offense and the head coach who says he wants to run the ball and take shots down the field. You got a guy that's a speedster that you're not taking shots down the field. You got 2 guys that's a speedster that's not taking shots down the field. But if it's the coaching and you say it's the coaching, then how come Luke Getsy and how come I know it's only one game with Scott Turner, but we'll see how Scott Turner uses them and North Turner. But if they don't use them throwing it down the field, they just don't have faith in this guy to catch the ball. Maybe that's why they're not throwing it down the field. And as far as Jacoby Myers go, I love Jacoby Myers, but he's not fast. He's not very good, at the line. He's not good at press coverage when he's pressed of getting free. So, in my opinion, when you have all that, you're not a number 1 receiver. Now, Jacoby Myers is a great number 2, and with the right number 1, he could be, 1A and 1B. I wouldn't call him a number 2, but he's not a 1. He's not a 1A in my opinion. Like he's just not fast enough, and there's just too many. As we've seen, if you put your number 1 corner on Jacoby Myers, his game is pretty much shut down and goes away, especially with the quarterbacks we have. Like now, if you have a quarterback that had faith in his own arm and had faith in his receiver, then Jacoby Myers, I think, would do a hell of a lot better for us. But at this point, it's the coaching staff, bro. Antonio Pierce don't know how to do shit on offense or use these guys or tell the coordinators how he wants these guys to be used because Antonio Pierce doesn't know how he wants the offensive guys to be used. He doesn't know what guys need to be out there and the personnel that they're trying to run because he doesn't know the offense. He doesn't know the personnel. Max 3-year extension with the void after 2 years and the player friendly trade clause. Yeah, well, let's see. Anyone is tradable in the NFL. It's just a matter of price. Oh yeah, bro. Like the NFL stands for not for long. We all know that. I trade Crosby in a heartbeat. We have to rebuild this team, so draft capital is important. Look, I like Max Crosby, but the fact that they can run the ball at Max Crosby constantly and gain yards after yards after yards, huge yak yards, is it just looks bad. It looks bad for Max. It looks bad for this team. It looks bad for the coordinator that's allowing that shit to happen, constantly over and over and over again. And if we truly rebuild, we need to stock up on the draft capital. I trust Tom Telesco. He's had one draft, bro. Why does everybody trust Tom Telesco? I trust Tom Telesco drafted in. He had a proven track record with the Chargers, and so far his top 3 picks have already hit. Okay, I don't know how much that proven track record is with the Chargers, but I could go back and name a lot of people that he drafted in the third, fourth, fifth round that never played, that were bust, that aren't playing right now. Um, Linemen drafted in the first round, quarterbacks taken in the second and third rounds. Look, Tom Telesco's okay, but the Chargers sucked ass for a reason. They sucked ass for a reason. Coupon Tom, that everybody calls him, had them what, 60 something $1 million over the salary cap. Like, bro, this guy is not the savior. And I'm not jumping on the Tom Telesco bandwagon until he has 3 solid years with at least 369, with at least 10 draft picks that are still playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, still on the team in those 3 years or 2 years down the road. Because if you look at his track record with the Chargers, there's a lot of those guys that are traded. He says he wants to keep guys in house. I don't see that. The whole Brock Bowers thing. Yes, Brock Bowers is a great pick, but Brock Bowers fell to us at 13 because they took 6 quarterbacks in the first round. That wasn't a Tom Telesco thing. I would love to see Tom Telesco's board on where he had Brock Bowers and how high he was up there on the board, because I guarantee you, tight end was the farthest thing on anybody's mind for the Las Vegas Raiders, for Raider content creators, for Raider players, for Raider coaches, and for that GM. Nobody was thinking tight end, and nobody thought Brock Bowers was going to be sitting there at number 13. And Tom Telesco would be an absolute fool, just like probably 4 or 5 of those other guys, before us in the top 12 that passed on Brock Bowers, would be absolutely fool to not take him. So, yes, was it a great pick? Yes, but he fell in the dude's lap. I mean, let's be honest. He was sitting there at 13. There was no quarterbacks left on the board. Who were we really going to take? An offensive lineman, Fuaga, Quentin Mitchell? Those would have been great. But if you go best player available, it was Brock Bowers. And everybody knows Tom Telesco always goes best player available. That is Tom Telesco's MO. So these guys weren't top notch on his board that he was like, oh, these were my main guys and they fell to me. I'm a great fucking GM. No, those guys were like, okay, this guy, if he falls to us, we have to jump on him. And Brock Bowers was one of those guys that you can't pass on, even if you don't need a tight end, right? On the other hand, JPJ was the same thing. He had, concussion problems. He had some injury problems. People said he was too small. There was problems, in Oregon. And there was a lot of guards and centers taken before Jackson Powers Johnson, and he was sitting there. So, again, you can't pass on a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson either. Now, DJ Glaze, a lot of people said was a reach, and many people wouldn't have taken DJ Glaze. If Tom Telesco was the sole guy that said DJ Glaze is this kid, then absolutely. I mean, that's a top A pick right there. You can't bust on that. But you got Joe Philbon in the building, who was an offensive coach. You had, at the time, um, James Gregg in there. So, there's a lot of offensive guys that might have had hands in there. I don't know. I do love the Glaze pick. The Glaze, I said as soon as they picked him, a lot of people said it was a reach. I was like, this kid is just an absolute freak of nature. We've seen in the combine with his reps, his athletic ability. Watching tape on the kid, he gives up no sacks, no pressures. It was a great pick. Glaze was a great pick. I thought, Travis Taylor or, Trey Taylor was a great pick in the 7th round. I thought a lot of their picks were great picks, but so far, all those guys are injured. Now they're not injured, and they're still not getting in the game, which I don't understand. But like I said, I want to see more from Tom Telesco because Tom Telesco didn't even try to sign JJ. You know, we were offering him 2 years. He got one more year and another fucking $2 million. So for $2 million, we let Josh Jacobs walk. The fact that he didn't even pick up the phone, according to Josh Jacobs, and call him and talk to him, I thought was bullshit. You bring in a guy like Amir Abdullah and re-sign him. You sign a guy like John Jenkins, who has passed his prime, is old, is slow. I mean, I love the guy. He's been a decent football player, but he's just not what we need on the defensive line, bro. He just don't cut it. Adam Butler is way better than him. You bring him back. You sign Adam Butler. You bring in Gardner Minshew, was just an absolute fucking failure. You let Antonio Pierce, bring in Luke Getsy. Tom Telesco, you're the GM. You should have said, "Wait, I don't think this dude has a good enough track record, especially you being an inexperienced head coach. We need a more experienced offensive coordinator to help you out. Let's think about this a little bit." So there's a lot of things that Tom Telesco has done that I don't think has helped this team. You brought in Madison, who had, as a starting running back, had 700 yards, 3 fumbles, um, and 3 touchdowns, all of those receiving. So I'm not sold on Tom Telesco. I'm just not. I'm not. He didn't do shit in the offseason. You brought in Christian Wilkins. You paid him $160 million, and every reporter on the planet says we overpaid Christian Wilkins. Now, did we? I don't know. But if you look at his stats before he got hurt, I'm just saying. Can he pan out? Yes, Christian Wilkins is an absolute beast. He was here to stop the run. But when he was in the lineup before he got hurt, was our run defensive better? No, was not. So, again, I'm not sold on Tom Telesco. I really liked Champ Kelly. I thought Champ Kelly, the little bit of time that he had, the Raiders made, some move Jones that turned out to be good. Glaze Dunkin' Donuts, baby, right? Glaze is, great. Glaze was a steal, bro. Glaze was a steal. And it looks like DeCamarion Richardson can turn out to be one of those guys, too. And Dylan Labe, I mean, look, this draft was very, very good if it was all Tom Telesco. But from what we've been told by Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco has said himself, most of the draft was he got with Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham and brought in guys they wanted for the vision they had going forward for this team. But we're not using any of them, so we don't even know if any of these guys will ever pan out. We've seen Dylan Labe get 1 carry and 1 fumble and never touch the ball again. What's the other guy we drafted? The other corner that I can't remember his name because MJ Davonshire. Where the hell is MJ Davonshire? Like, where is this kid, bro? Come on. You're drafted in the 6th, 7th round. You should be getting some kind of play time. Another thing, like, so many guys hurt. What is going on with our trainers, bro? Absolutely nuts. These guys are not prepared. That is what Tom Telesco said about Glaze. What? What did he say about Glaze? Tom has GM Champ Kelly, and don't sleep on the staff. Something's great is coming really soon. I am sleeping on the staff, and I don't know if something great's coming really soon. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see the style of NFL football that we need to be playing right now. Like, I see a blast from the past. I see the old Al Davis style football, which, I mean, we've seen in Al Davis's, God rest his soul, last 3 or 4 drafts and the way the team was going before he passed away. Like, sometimes football just passes guys, it evolves. It goes past people. And I think there's a lot of guys on this staff that are just not in tune with the way the NFL has evolved. the way the players have evolved. Jacobs became a diva. They wouldn't have been a cancer in the locker room. He wasn't a cancer in the locker room, though. He was good friends with Devontae. He was good friends with everybody in that locker room, bro. Like even Antonio Pierce called him the heartbeat of the team. Antonio Pierce wanted Josh Jacobs back. Tom Telesco didn't want to, over a fucking one more year contract and a couple $1,000,000, didn't want to bring him back. Josh Jacobs, I mean, is still a top 10 running back in the NFL right now. Am I right? If not 15, at least in there. Better than what we have right now that are, 48th, 48th and 49th ranked running backs in the NFL. So I know patience. I believe in trust the process, bro. I've been saying trust the process my whole life, bro. I've been trying to trust the process. I'm just getting too old where the process is fucking passing me by and waiting for the process to happen. There's a method to the madness. We missed on this court for QBs, and he isn't going to miss on this one. Yeah, but who's gonna bring this quarterback along? That's what I'm saying. Like, is he gonna sit for a year? Because Tom Brady is a true big believer in bringing in a quarterback and letting him sit for a year. So if we do get our quarterback, we let him sit for a year. We bring in a bridge quarterback for another year next year because I don't think it's going to be Gardner Minshew. And if it is, then, I mean, that's grounds for firing everybody, including Mark Davis, for letting it happen. Because if you're not coaching it and you're letting it happen, you're still coaching it, right? He was good friends with Devontae. What happened with Devontae? I mean, dude, he was trying to get Devontae to go to Green Bay, right? He was trying to get Max to go to Green Bay. Like, they had a solid core. We had a solid core of players that were a tight knit group that believed in each other. Devontae, Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby, even Derek Carr. Like, these guys were tight. It was a brotherhood, and we come in and just rip that shit to shreds and expect to rebuild overnight. And I think we still have the weapons that we could have rebuilt overnight, just not with the coaching we have, not with a stubborn head coach that wants to continuously say we're going to run the ball, but only runs the ball 20 times a game. You know what most teams do that run the ball, that pound the rock? They run it 30, 35 times a game and pass 20, 25. Because most teams get 60 plays a game. We get 40 because we can't get first downs. But man, even Josh Jacobs, look, okay, fuck Josh Jacobs, right? I wasn't a big Josh Jacobs fan because of the fact that he held out. He came in unhealthy, but we can't deny the fact that he produced. He produced with no matter who the coach was from the time he was drafted. It wasn't always 1,000 yards, but he had big games. He had big carries. He won us football games. But fuck Josh Jacobs. Say no, Josh Jacobs. What about Saquon Barkley? What about Saquon Barkley? How much is Saquon Barkley getting right now? Come on, Tom Telesco. Come on. Let's not even say some. Let's skip that. Let's go even a lesser, right? Where's Henry at right now? Where's Travis Henry? What's Travis Henry doing? You know what they're both doing? They're fucking killing the NFL in rushing yards. They're destroying it in touchdowns. They're destroying it in receiving yards. They're murdering the NFL. But Coupon Tom thinks we can go running back by committee. Now, look, I'm one of those guys that think running back by committee is a very, very wise decision. But first, you have to have a number one running back that can carry the ball 20 times a game and get you 100 yards. And you have to have a number two running back that can still, get you 40, 50 yards on less than 10 carries. And if you have that, then yes, you can go running back by committee with a speedster, a scat back, and a power back. You can do that shit. But Tom Telesco passed on Josh Jacobs. He passed on Saquon Barkley. He passed on Travis Henry, and even fucking um, the running back Deontay Foreman, who killed it for Luke Getsy in Chicago. He passed on him too, bro. And you brought in Madison. You brought in Madison. You brought in Madison, bro. Madison. Like, come on. Come on. I'm not sold on Tom Telesco. We needed a corner. We needed linebackers. You stuck with Divine Diablo. Now, yes, of course, you didn't know much about Divine Diablo, but you should have seen enough in practice. You should have seen enough in practice to be like, this ain't the guy. Like, I don't know. If you're a GM and your head coach is playing guys that he's favoring because he's friends with these guys or they smoke cigars or whatever the deal is. I don't know. I'm not saying Antonio Pierce is doing that. I'm just saying if that happens and you're GM and you let that shit happen, then if your head coach gets fired, bro, you got to go too. Like, that's just my opinion. He was good friends with Devontae. Yeah, I got that. Jacobs was talking all kinds of cryptic shit on social media and was becoming a diva. I mean, I get that. But he became a diva because he's got this shit right here tatted on his skin, bro. He can't remove that shit. I mean, I guess you can nowadays, right? But he was committed. He was bought into fucking commitment to excellence. Jacobs wanted to be a Raider. He still has a house in Vegas, bro. He still has a house in Vegas. He said he'll never sell his house in Las Vegas. Why? Because he's always a Raider. He loves the city of Las Vegas. He loved the Raiders. He loved the fans. Of course, you're going to talk shit after they kick you to the curb and turn your back on them, like we did DC, like we did Darren Waller, like we've done every fucking Raider player that's ever left the Raiders, like even Marcus Allen. Like, that's just what Raider fans do. You leave the Raiders, you say once a Raider, always a Raider. But as soon as they take off that jersey and play for another team, we turn our backs on them. And so, yeah, of course he's going to be cryptic in the media and shit. But this team would be 1,000 times better with Devontae Adams, with Josh Jacobs, with Derek Carr. Yeah, I said it, with Derek Carr. Come on. You can't tell me this team wouldn't be in the playoffs with Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, and the defense we have now. Hunter Renfrow. Nobody's even signed that dude sitting on the sideline. Now I know he fumbled, cost us games and shit, but it was a team, bro. It was a team that played for each other, that believed in each other. We shouldn't be a run first team, and our receivers have to have wide receivers and tight ends. We should be pass first team. Um, we were a pass first team last week. We threw the ball 45 fucking times. They weren't only completed like 20 something times, but we threw the ball 40 something times. And we ran the ball less than we usually do. But you can't say we're a run first team. How are we a run first team when we don't even run the ball 20 times a game? Now we might be a run first team because we run on bad situations, first and second down, but we're not a run first team, bro. Run first teams run the ball 40 times a game and pass 20 times a game. The Raiders have never, ever, ever, ever come close to that shit, bro. Ever. The Raiders is a tax friendly location where there is no reason why we can't get big name players in our locker room. Proper recruiting. Well, there is. For one, we do players dirty like Devontae Adams, like a Josh Jacobs, like a Derek Carr. And I don't care how much tax free money you make when you're making millions of dollars and millions of dollars a year. They're not worried about that little fucking tax write off that they can write off anywhere to go play for a team that has no stability, that they bring in and tell you you're their future. We're building a team around you. You're the way we're going. You're exactly what we need. We're going to bring everything to make you the star franchise of this team, and then as soon as you turn around, they one of those up your bunghole. Yeah, bro. Like, teams aren't going to want to come here. Coaches aren't going to want to come here. If you fire Antonio Pierce, what, Josh McDaniels got a year and a half. John Gruden, his last time, what, got a year and a half. AP, if you fire him after this year, a year and a half. Like, who's going to want to come here? Nobody's going to want to come here, no matter what the tax write-off is. Like, it's a death trap for players' careers, for coaches' careers. Uh, it's just the end all. We're the end all for every player and every you come coach for the Raiders. It's the last time you coach it anywhere. You get a year and a half. If you ain't made it to a Super Bowl, out the door. Which I know I'm bitching fire Antonio Pierce, but come on. I'm saying we have to go with somebody and stick with them. This dude's just not it. He's had time, right? He's had almost a year and a half. At the end of the season, he'll have his 24, 22 games, 24 games, whatever it is that Hondo says he uses to evaluate coaches, right? He'll have that. And I don't think he'll do enough to show that he needs to be the coach for next year. Problem is they changed run blocking scheme this year. More poor head coaching. Zamir White was a gap runner, not a zone. That's why he was better last year. He's not a gap runner. He has no vision. The man is basically, if you put him in a straight line and part the Red Seas, part like this or like this, then the dude can run his ass off, right? Because he's fast, he's big, strong, and he's going to get away from you. But if you don't give that dude a hole big enough to drive a fucking Mack truck through, Zamir White's not him, bro. Madison, not him, bro. AP wanted Madison, well, then you got to go. Like, whoever wanted Madison, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying AP wanted him because, Tom Telesco, it's his offense, and he's going to say, I need these guys to run my system. If that's the guy that got him, if AP wanted him, cool. But like I'm saying, I would have kept Getsy and fired Antonio Pierce. I'm just saying. The running backs are horrible. And if it was Antonio Pierce that wanted Madison and that wanted to keep, Amir Abdullah and Zamir White and not play Dylan Labe, and this, was an Antonio Pierce decision, then no, then no, Luke Getsy should not have been fired, because the passing game, in my opinion, would have worked very, very well with a quarterback that wasn't scared to throw the ball downfield and that had accuracy and could hit the open man. We had a quarterback like that on the team. We just didn't go with them. So, if that's the case, then Getsy got I still think Getsy got the shit end of the deal. He got brought into a shitty situation with a coach that had no experience, that had a vision in his head of what he wanted the team to look like, but didn't know how to put it on paper. AP will go before Telesco. Oh, I'm sure. They will all go, because I think, as you can see on the cover, Tom Brady has more say than Tom Telesco, I believe. DC was trash. How do you say DC was trash? Tell me how DC was trash. Because he threw some interceptions? Bro, Josh Allen has more interceptions than DC. I think Burrow has more interceptions right now than DC at their time in their career. He never had a number one receiver. He didn't have any defense. Come on, bro. Derek Carr is still throwing bombs, still dropping dimes. Now, after he got hurt, was he a little scared? Yeah. He broke his leg. He got a little timid. The Christian boy got a little soft. I'm not going to lie. But to say DC was trash, bro, is absolutely crazy, bro. Absolutely crazy. Derek Carr holds almost every fucking record at quarterback. And yeah, he might have played the longest. But come on, dude, he didn't have any of that shit. Didn't have any of those. Jacobs and his free agent already made a deal with Green Bay free agent even started. That's not no. You're wrong. Wrong. I'm not gonna argue with you, but I know that's not a fact. Adams is a crybaby. He's not a quarterback. Multiple times, what happened? Adams is a crybaby. I'm not saying Devonte Adams is not a crybaby. I'm saying Devonte Adams is a great receiver that can't be guarded. That is, when he's on his game and when he's happy where he's at, is a top. Salute, Raph. What's good? Appreciate you pulling up. Devontae, when he's on his game, when he's happy, when he's in a good situation, the man is one of the best receivers to ever play the game. Now, is he a crybaby? Yes, because when you're at that top tier, and then you just keep getting fucking pushed in shitty situations. The quarterback, your best friend you were supposed to come play with, you go there and the rug gets pulled out from underneath him. He gets fired. Um, like then you go to Green Bay with a team that just fired their head coach, with a guy that used to call plays for the Las Vegas Raiders at one time and had a horrible, horrible year doing that. You got him calling plays. Uh, you know, of course Devontae's going to be a diva. Of course he's going to bitch. He's one of the greatest all time. He has every right to be unhappy. They sold him a fucking pipe dream. They told him he was going to come play with his boy Derek Carr, and it was all bullshit. They fed him bullshit, and then they got rid of Jimmy G. He said, "I'll stay if you put this Aiden O'Connell kid who looked good in the preseason." They went with Aiden O'Connell. He was happy with Aiden. He decided, after the Netflix and all that bullshit, to even come back, give it another year. He was happy with Antonio Pierce. And then they changed quarterbacks on him again and decided to go with Gardner Minshew. And you could tell right off the bat that dude was not happy with them going with Gardner Minshew. So, of course, he has every right to complain. If you're a top fucking quarterback in the NFL making all this money and you're playing for a franchise that you love your whole life growing up, supposedly, and you're here to turn this franchise around because you want to make them a winning organization again, and they bring you a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo and then replace him with Gardner fucking Minshew? Come on, bro. You can't be a Raiders fan. I mean, you can't be an NFL fan and say these guys don't have a right to complain when you sell them a pipe dream and bring them to an organization, feeding them a pack of lies, of bullshit, telling them this is what we're going to do. You're going to play with Derek Carr. And then 1 year, he has one of his best years ever with Derek Carr. And then you get rid of Derek Carr. Like, come on. If Derek Carr was trash, how did Devontae have one of his best years ever on a way shittier team than he was in Green Bay with his quarterback that he wanted, Aaron Rodgers? Come on. That team with Aaron Rodgers was way better in the playoffs. They one of the top teams in the NFL with Aaron Rodgers, but he had one of his best years with Derek Carr, with a sloppy O line, with a horrible coach and Dick Daniels. You can't say DC is trash, bro. You just can't. Can't. I mean, you could say it. You could say it. I'm not going to agree with it, but you can say it all you want. I agree with you. Not a run first team. We should have switched from power scheme to zone. Screw the whole season. But look, you can't switch from something you don't have, bro. You can't. You can't go from a power to a run to a zone. Like, when we were running power, wide power, or whatever the fuck we're running now, wide zone, but we were running power schemes. It wasn't all power schemes. We were still running zone schemes. We were just running flex zone, uh, wide zone. It's not these guys can't run zone. It's their vision and the process, or the way the scheme was built around these guys is just not for them. They're not built to constantly run the ball up the middle, hit the A gap, hit the A gap, hit the A gap, hit the A gap, hit the A gap. Like it's not it. And then you don't see any guys fucking on this offensive line pulling. I thought the whole thing for having, the only people pulling are the tight ends once in a while. But we got guards that are quick, that are mobile, that are athletic, that can pull and clear holes, and just look at other teams' run schemes. Look how inventive and shit. Look how many guys are crossing, pulling, double teaming to get guys open to create lanes. The Raiders don't do all that, but they have lanes to run through. The running backs just decide to run into the fucking offensive line, or if there's a hole to the outside, they cut in where everybody's at. Like the running backs are garbage, bro. I've done plenty of film breakdown, and I'll do film breakdown again Thursday because to just see play after play after play. I don't know. I must have 500 running plays on tape that I could put together probably within a day and break down just nonstop. Horrible, horrible vision. And if you could put a Saquon Barkley or a or a Travis Henry or a Josh Jacobs in some of these run schemes that are getting no yardage, I guarantee you, bro, they're 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 yards, 60-yard touchdowns. Like, it wasn't all the scheme. Antonio Pierce has said a million times, you got to have the players, you know, to do what you want to do, and players got to buy in. They got to do their 111, right? They need to do their job, and players aren't doing their job. You can watch film all day long of just how many guys are out of place, don't look like they know what's going on. Um, for instance, the touchdown at the end of the game, wide open touchdown. The tight end goes wide open, nobody near him. Where's Divine Diablo, bro? Like, he even looked at the guy, and then you even have Robert Spillane, who's over there yelling and screaming, pointing, yelling and screaming. The ball snapped, and he's standing there. Then when the ball's thrown, he decides to rush the quarterback. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, that's some of this shit is just stupid, and I don't even see how they get away with it. But still keep getting put on the field. You can't continuously have guys on film doing stupid shit and guys breaking film down like I do, and like a million other content creators constantly breaking down film of these guys just doing ignorant stuff, and then being like, oh, but we're close, we're getting there. LOL, we never did Adams, Carr, Jacobs dirty. What are those players doing now? Wait a minute. So you're saying we never did Derek Carr dirty by signing him to a $160 million contract and then benching him the last two games of the season for fucking Stidham and then releasing him? Like, we did ourselves dirty. We did him dirty. We did ourselves dirty by, for one, not getting a draft pick, not getting we didn't get shit. We didn't get shit for Derek Carr, who was at the time and still is a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. So yes, we did him dirty. We did Jacobs dirty because we didn't even call him. Like, and all he wanted was a 3-year contract. We paid him $11 million to play for 1 year under the franchise tag. 11 mil. 11 mil for 1 year under the franchise tag. What's he making in Green Bay? 41 mil, 40 mil for 3 years? I mean, come on. A couple million more dollars, and we could have had that dude for 3 years. And we know how the NFL works. I mean, it's not a guaranteed 3 years. Shit, they could have traded him, released him, or whatever in 2 years if it didn't work out. We weren't even going to pay him all that 40 mil. Green Bay's not going to pay him that 40 mil. Yes, we did those dudes dirty. We did Devontae dirty because we signed him to this big ass contract, and now that most of his guaranteed money is used up, and he's due $40 million for 1 season, we trade him, and he gets renegotiated a contract, which is, I don't know what it is, but it's probably going to be not $40 million that he was guaranteed next year. I guarantee you that. So yeah, we constantly do players dirty, bro. That's just my opinion. Like I said, you have yours, I have mine. You don't have to agree with it, but we do players dirty. Let me guess. We didn't do Charles Woodson dirty by not bringing him back, letting him walk to Green Bay in free agency. We didn't do Marcus Allen dirty by letting him go to the Kansas City Chiefs. We didn't do none of those players dirty, right? We didn't do Waller dirty by trading him. We didn't do Hunter Renfro dirty by cutting his ass. Come on. I think we did a lot of those guys dirty. Like I said, you might have a dirty opinion, a different opinion, or a dirty opinion. I don't know. Starts with the head coach, right? You can have a whole bunch of star players, but if you don't have a head coach, it don't matter. Chargers are proof of that. No, I mean the Chargers don't really have a whole bunch of star players. They have a couple key star players, like defense, Bosa, Khalil Mack. But come on, they got a UDFA running back. They got a mixed match offensive line. Besides, the two ends that are top picks, they got a bunch of UDFAs in the defense. That team don't have a bunch of stars. They have a coach that knows how to get the best out of their players. Our coach knows how to get the players to run through a brick wall, to believe, to buy in to what he's, pick up what he's putting down. But he does not know how to get the best out of these players. If he did, I mean, Gardner Minshew would have a way better season than what he is right now, right? Zamir, please stop calling him Zeus, bro. This dude is not a Zeus. He's not a god. He's a fucking fourth string running back at this point. Zamir White played gap power in Georgia and Josh McDaniel's scheme. I know he played gap power and he played just a lot of power, gap power, but we also ran a little bit of zone last year. And if I mean, I don't want to, but I have to go back and find tape to prove it. I will. But they believe me. Just take my word for it. We ran a lot of zone last year too. Not a lot, but we ran zone, and they were decent run plays. The man can run zone. It just depends on, they had a fullback last year. It's a big difference, bro. You got a guy clearing out guys in front of you and opening up holes. It makes a big difference. Excuses for Derek Carr in New Orleans and Derek Carr fan. What? New Orleans and every Carr fan said he went to the Saints, he would win a Super Bowl. What happened to the offense, defense, all that he needed? I never said Derek Carr would win a Super Bowl with the Saints. For one, Dennis Allen's their head coach. Like, come on, bro. Yeah, that sums it up for me. Like, I like Clint Kubiak. You know, if Kubiak was the head coach, but when Dennis Allen was there, I mean, come on, bro. That's not the guy. And I don't know. They're still playing well, right? They were hurt for a little bit. They brought in that kid who a lot of people said the Raiders should have drafted. Spencer Rattler. Look how that experiment lasted. Didn't do very good. DC comes back after the injury and throwing touchdowns. If you give the man time to throw, he's going to pick you apart. But you also have to look at Derek Carr's age. Come on. Like, he's up there. He's up there like Aaron Rodgers style. The man's getting old. He's been around a long time. I never said he'd win the Super Bowl anywhere. But look, dude, their defense is like ours. They're not stopping anybody. And he has a great system. But a lot of the offense, come on, players are talking shit about him. A lot of people. Derek Carr's problem is the Bible thumping, I think, to me. He's trying to preach to guys that don't want to be preached the gospel. And sometimes you just got to lay off. When guys don't want to fucking hear the word, you got to move on. Reports came out after Josh Jacobs signing. Green Bay literally signed a week after free agency. I don't know, bro. I don't know. If you say so, I'll take your word for it. on the very first day of free agency. Well, it doesn't matter because like Tom Telesco was there before free agency, so he had plenty of time to at least call Josh Jacobs, pick up the phone, and say, "What do I got to do to keep you here in the building? Because we have no running backs." LOL. They did have the right to complain, getting paid millions. Excuses ain't the Raiders' way. What is the Raiders' way? Losing? Tell me what the Raiders' way is, bro. Because for a long time, like I said, I've been a fan 49 years. For a long time, the fucking Raiders' way right now is is losing. We have lost and been a shitty failure of a franchise, whether it's head coaching, whether it's draft picks, whether it's offensive coordinators, whether it's owners, whether it's fucking players, whether what it is. We have been a joke of a franchise way longer than we have been good, way longer than we have ever been good. So, like, I don't know what this Raider way is. The Raider way to me is losing, bro. Like that's what I know, and that's what most of the fans 30 years or younger know is losing. Horrible defeats over and over again, shitty ass seasons, no playoffs. That's what most people know as the Raider way. Ask anybody that's not a Raiders fan what the Raider way is. They're gonna tell you fucking losing, bad decision making, horrible ownership, bad coaching. Like, so I mean, players have the right to complain, bro. Look at the players in Oakland. We had one of the shittiest stadiums, the shittiest facilities. Dude, everything about that stadium. Yes, was it great? Yes, was it historical? Yes, was there moments and a vibe that you'll never get back going to an Oakland game? Yes. But the facility and the shit players went through was just absolutely ass. They complained all the time. So yes, players have a right to complain, bro. They have a right to complain. Whether they're getting millions, it doesn't matter. Like, just because you get paid whatever you get paid at your job, if your boss ain't doing you right or doing you dirty or tells you you're getting days off and then calls you in, you're not going to complain? Come on, bro. You're going to complain. I mean, I'm fucking complaining. I guarantee you that. JMD was power scheme. Getsy scheme was mostly zone. Bro, I'm not arguing with you whose the scheme was, but he still ran zone. There's still zone plays. And maybe it wasn't fucking Josh McDaniels or Dick Daniels' scheme. It was Bo Hardigree taking his scheme and their playbook and changing shit around. So, but if you go back and look at plenty of tape last year with Zamir White running the ball, there is zone plays in there, bro. Zone plays, I guarantee you. But I agree with you. I know what the scheme was. Actually, nobody really knows what the fucking scheme was. Trash. Everything you just said, also scheme and coaching. I don't know what everything I just said though. But shut up. Exactly, a couple million. If they really wanted to be a Raider, he would have signed. And Carr sucked, so we released him. Carr didn't suck though. Carr was not the problem. We lost fucking seven, bro. Man, I don't know why I argue with people, dude. Listen, we lost 7 or 8 games 2 years ago, last year, whatever you want to call it. No, the first year Dick Daniels was coaching. The first year Dick Daniel was coaching, we lost 8 games in the fourth quarter from defense. Patrick Graham's defense. Patrick Graham's defense with almost the exact same defense we have now. You know, we have one player that was a linebacker that's over there playing for the Chargers. I really wish we would never let go, but you know, we have almost the exact same defense, you know, minus a couple little mixed match guys here and there. But my point is, I don't even know what my point was. I forgot. What the fuck was I talking about? I don't even know. But yeah, dude, like, so I don't know. Oh, if you want to, yeah, and Carr sucked. No, dude, like Carr was putting up insane, crazy numbers with Devontae Adams. He did not suck. Now, the offensive line, Illuminor with his penalties, all that shit, that sucked. We were penalized, one of the most penalized team in the NFL, like we always are. That's just how the Raiders do. That shit sucked. And no, if he really wanted to be a Raider, he wanted to get his money, dude. Saquon Barkley got his money. Look what he's doing over there in Philly. You paid a man. I mean, look what Josh Jacobs is doing in Green Bay. They're 8-3. They're gonna make the playoffs. He made all the right. He made all the right decisions, bro. All the right decisions. Oh, I got off there. Oh, past that one. Past that one. Who signed Renfro? I don't know. I don't know. Carr gets all his stats in garbage time. It doesn't matter where he gets his stats, bro. Look. If you fucking this is pointless, bro. Are you drinking, John Leon? Because I need to drink to keep up with you, bro. I'm just saying. Like, look, garbage time, crunch time, money time on third downs. It don't make a fuck where you get your shit. As long as your numbers are positive numbers with a higher touchdown ratio than turnover ratio, and we win football games, it don't make a fuck. Most of his time was not garbage. It's not garbage time when you're having 2-minute drives to come back and win games. Go look at DC stats on how many fourth quarter 2-minute drives he has. I think he's like third all time or some shit in the NFL in his time he's been in here. So that's not a trash quarterback. Mark Davis has to go until we ain't shit. Mira Montez, how you say your last name, bro? I don't want to butcher your shit. Johnny Mira, what's good? Appreciate you, my brother. First time on the show, because I don't remember you, so I appreciate you pulling up. Y'all hit that like button if you're new to this. If you dig the vibe, if you like what's going on, picking up what I'm putting down, yo, hit that like button. Check out some more videos. Subscribe if you like this content. Renfro only worked in Gruden's scheme because he's not good route runner. He makes his own routes. Should Gruden accepted? I know, because you had a great quarterback. You can't have a guy running his own routes unless you have a good quarterback with timing that knows that guy, right? Just kind of like Devontae and my boy DC. Gruden accounted for his scheme, and it got exposed. Josh McDaniels' scheme, where he ran into Adams. Oh, come on, man. It was one fucking play. They ran into each other. That shit happens. That's bad scheming. But what about, the 5-yard pass he caught last year where he turned it into a 50-yard pass, jumping over guys, spinning, juking. Come on, man. Like, I didn't say his car's age. I'm just saying he's getting up there in age. I'm saying if we had Derek Carr on this team with the fucking defense the way it was playing last year, and Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers, and you don't think we'd be a playoff team, you're you're high, bro. You're high. I'm about to get high. I'm gonna smoke just because that shit pissed me off. I was kidding. I didn't say nothing about his age. I did say he's getting up there in age. Yes, come on. I mean, fuck, he played for the Raiders for what, 10 years? How many years he played? 10? 9? Dude, he's been in here for a long time. Raiders are trash. A lot of loyalty, but we get nothing in return. It's a vicious cycle. These Raider fans hype up the offseason and then they underperform. I mean, dude, I hear you 100%. I was one of those dudes for the first time in many, many moons hyping up this offseason because I thought it was going to be different. I bought into the AP shit. I bought into the culture change. I really thought it was going to be Aiden O'Connell with Devontae Adams, and this team was going to have a rhythm. And I think I really, really still sticking to my guns, bro. If we started this season with a happy Devontae Adams, with Aiden O'Connell, with what we fucking had last year and how we ended the season, I think it would be a whole new season. Granted, we couldn't lose Malcolm Kuntz or Christian Wilkins, but I think we could have get away with those guys. I think we could have. Did I read this? Raiders are trash. Yes, I did. All right, what else we got? Been a Raider fan 23 years. The franchise needs a solid owner, solid coaching at the time. What? Solid coaching and time for these coaches. Yeah. We hire and fire coaches too fast, and no coach wants to come to this franchise like that. I mean, yeah, that's been the norm. And, I was talking about the Raiders way earlier, and that pretty much is the Raiders way, right? You don't give coaches time. You fire them. You bring in good coaches like Del Rio, who has this team rolling. You fire him for a rebirth of John Gruden, which I thought should have never been brought back after the way that fucking it went the first time. Salute to the Raiderette. But man, I feel it for you. A fan for 23 years. You've never seen the Raiders win. You've never really seen a winning season. And you don't know what it's like to have a winning season unless you watch, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills or another team. Ow, God. Don't make me laugh. Fuck. Son of a bitch. My night's good. How's y'all's? So, what do y'all think? Let me know in the chat. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Will AP be back next year? Oh, that hurts too. No, AP will not be back next year. I'm feeling like shit, bro. You don't see my mouth swollen? Underneath my neck feels like it's got a fucking golf ball in it. Oh, damn, you can see that shit too. I got an appointment tomorrow at the dentist. Get some antibiotics. Hopefully this shit goes away. If not, I'm just gonna die out. We would have gotten Harbaugh. Let me put this up there so everybody else can read along. We would have gotten Harbaugh, but the owner listened to much fan base hype on AP. He doesn't know what he's doing. No, he doesn't know what he's doing, but I don't think we would have ever got Harbaugh. Harbaugh was never called. He was never fucking talked to about an interview. He never really wanted this job, bro. Harbaugh has been a part of this franchise before. He knows how the franchise does people. Granted, it was, Mark's daddy, Al, but he's seen firsthand, and he's had many times a chance to be the Raiders head coach, and it's never worked out. People have pipe dreams, and some people believe that their pipe dreams, are fantasies that came true, and these are things that really happened. But Harbaugh was never even a mention. He was never even in the running. There was no coaches in the running. The only coach that we looked for was Antonio Pierce. That was it. That was the only coach. He got his interview. They went and interviewed one more black head coach, former head coach, because they had to interview a minority head coach. So they interviewed their guy, and then they interviewed somebody else that had been out of the NFL for like 14 years. Please God, no. No to the nah. Please God, no, they don't bring him back. Like, I don't know. I think AP has a job next year. I mean, I hate to say it, as much as it hurts my fucking throat that feels like it's closing up at the moment. AP just, you know, his press conferences, the shit he says, just strikes me as a man that doesn't look worried about his job. You see him on the sideline shaking his head. If I was a head coach and I was 2-8 and I was this big badass linebacker who has a Super Bowl ring, who's supposed to know all this shit about football, who's supposed to be a gangster, straight out of Compton, drives an Impala, wouldn't you be pissed off on the sideline? I mean, forget about all the shit I just said with stereotyping. As a man, as a head coach, trying to keep a job for a team you've loved your whole life that makes mistake after mistake after mistake, would you not show some kind of emotion? Would you not fucking throw shit? Would you not be breaking shit? Would you not be throwing that headset across the fucking field? Because I know I would. I mean, I know I'd be slamming shit. I'd be grabbing people by their jerseys. I'd be in people's faces yelling. You see no emotion from this man. You see no facial expression. If you do, it's just like a little smirk. He just doesn't look to me as a man that's worried about his job. Now, a man that was worried about his job would say Gardner Minshew is not our quarterback because he does not give you the best chance to win. He's had chance after chance after chance after chance. He's been pulled 3 different times, benched 4 different times. How many more fucking chances do you need to know that that dude is not the guy? So if you're trying to win and you know you have a guy that's not the fucking guy, you go with the next guy. Now, that guy might not be the guy, but that guy is better than the guy that you know is not the guy, right? You don't know what the fuck Ritter brings. You don't know. You know he's mobile. You know he can make plays with his legs. You know Garner can't do either one of those. We showed from the 25-yard line he can throw a pretty accurate lead your tight end open pass to the end zone, so we don't have to worry about red zone inefficiency, not being able to score from the 1-yard line, not being able to score from the 5-yard line, not being able to score from the 10-yard line. Ritter came in and threw the ball 22 yards to the tight end, led him, was a pretty damn good pass for a touchdown. He also ran his ass off for one play. That's more than all of our quarterbacks and probably most of our running backs put together have had all year. But he's sitting on the bench. So, yeah, you can't tell me Antonio Pierce is a guy that's fighting for his job, that's playing for his job, that's worried about his job. To me, he's playing like a guy that has been told, you're coming back next year. Just try to finish out the season with some kind of, you know, some kind of something to cheer about, something to win, some kind of winning streak. I don't know. Harbaugh never got interviewed because he knew Mark Davis was hiring AP. Didn't want to waste his time. Man, that's just speculation, bro. You don't know what Harbaugh was saying. I mean, that's no. Harbaugh is not coaching the Raiders because Harbaugh knew damn well that for him to be successful in the NFL, you need a fucking quarterback. And Gardner Minshew was not the quarterback. He also knew that we were not moving up in the draft because nobody was willing to trade with us, and there was no way he was getting a quarterback. Now, if he thought there was a chance that he could go get J.J. McCarthy at 13 and be the Raiders coach, he probably would have took the job. But he knew, just like Cliff Kingsbury knew, there was no chance for the Raiders to move up the draft because nobody wanted to trade with us and nobody was willing to part with any of the 6 quarterbacks in the draft ahead of us. So that's the only thing that we know for a fact. You have Joey Bosa, you have Khalil Mack, you have uh fucking whatever the safety's name is, I can't think, Derwin James or whatever. You have Herbert. Come on, man. You have key pieces that the Raiders don't have, right? The Raiders don't have a quarterback. They don't have any of that shit that I just listed. They have Max Crosby that can't get off a double team or a triple team. Top defensive ends in the NFL all get double teamed. They all get triple teamed, but they all find a way to make tackles, to get pressures, to make sacks. Like, so no, Harbaugh wasn't coming here, bro. He went to a team that had playoff potential, that has been close to the playoffs year after year after year, and lost game after game after game, just like we have in the fourth quarter. They couldn't sustain, fucking leads. They couldn't keep leads. And Harbaugh was like, bro, I can change this around. I can change this culture around. I can make sure that we win games. I can change the attitude of this team, the mindset. And I have a quarterback that if I want him to throw the ball 40 times a game for 500 yards, I can. Or if I need him to throw it, 20 times a game for 200 yards and run the ball 30 times a game, we can. And they have. Oh, I know. We can blame Max Crosby. We can also blame Max Crosby for saying we back Gardner Minshew. Gardner's our guy. Like, how many times did he say that? Gardner's our guy. I mean, you have to say that, right? You want to back and support your players. But I don't give a fuck, dude. If I'm a franchise guy and I have guys on my team not performing to their capability that's costing me games, I'm sorry, bro. If I think the guy behind you better, I'm gonna say, like, that dude is not him. Let's go with this other guy because I'm tired of being putting my career on the line for this dude that just don't give a fuck out here. AP continues to play Shih Tzu over AOC 12 or Ritter. It's proof AP is tanking. Now, when AOC, the cerebral assassin, comes back in and is healthy, then man, absolutely. If he goes with that, if he goes with Gardner over AOC, then man, AP's not tanking. I mean, I want to say he's not. I want to say he's not. But then again, like if he's guaranteed a job next year, why would you try to win? You know what I mean? As a as a as a fucking man with any kind of common sense or a brain, why would you try to win at 2-8 when you already have guaranteed a great draft pick? You have 10 picks. You have guys like I just mentioned, Colton Miller, who's starting to come around. If you keep Colton Miller, you have guys like Munford you could trade. Uh, you might get something for Jack Jones, Samir White. Somebody might be able to say, hey, I could use this big, strong running back way better than this team can and take a chance on him. But yeah, it's if you go with Gardner Minshew when Aiden O'Connell is healthy, then fuck, I don't know. But just the fact, really, just the fact that AP has stuck with Gardner this long shows not only his stupidity, but how his loyalty can hurt this team, right? How Antonio Pierce's loyalty to one player or to players in the locker room that he favors or that he believes in can hurt this franchise. And we've seen it with many, many franchises, you know, offensive coordinators, owners, head coaches believing in guys that never pan out and never, you know, come to be the guy they want them to be, but they keep sticking with them. Guys like like we have, like like Tyree Wilson. Come on, I know it's only been 2 seasons, but the little tiny bit of flashes that he has, it's just not enough to keep the man out there as much as he is when we have other guys that we could be, evaluating. Shichu is one of the worst quarterbacks in the red zone. And he was in preseason and he was all off season, and that's on Antonio Pierce. Like again, all this shit's on Antonio Pierce, bro. He's the head coach. It falls on you. Like it falls on Robert Salah in the New York Jets organization. That's all, folks. Fuck, I can't even talk. You know, that man got fired, and and look how that's gone. So it's not always the guy that gets fired fault. I mean, look at Getsy. Now I'm not saying Getsy's good, but I wouldn't put it past Getsy getting another chance somewhere and maybe doing good, if he has his quarterback. No, I'm not saying it's going to happen because, like I said, when it comes to crunch time, pressure time, the man folds like a lawn chair. And until you can fix that, you're not doing shit in the NFL. What else we got? If we keep AP Brandon Staley 2.0 next year, need to sell the rest of the shares to Brady. Well, for one, Tom Brady don't have the money to buy the rest of the shares because the shares that they sold him, he already scraped together every possibility he could to come up with the money to buy those shares. That was the problem last year, as Mark Davis was trying to sell it to him at a discount rate because he couldn't afford. He's not worth the money. He's only worth like 400 million or some shit like that, whatever it is. But that's what he was trying to buy the shares for. So you can't spend everything you have to be part of an NFL franchise. I don't think AP's Brandon Staley. I think, and yeah, Mark's never selling the shares. Like this is his dad's legacy. His dad obviously was everything to him, and he will die being the Raiders owner. Now after that, and his mom, then there's nobody left, right? All right, man. It's been 2 hours. I appreciate everybody pulling up. I love the shit out of all y'all. I appreciate your support. Raiders just win, baby. Um, I'll be live Thursday for I don't know if I'm doing film review, but I'm probably gonna break down a couple plays like just a stupid interception. Um, you know, the timeout. That timeout. I don't know if I got distracted if I ever talked about that shit, but that timeout. You know, you call a timeout on second down and 11 with 3:43 left in the clock. For one, you let the clock run for 5 seconds 6 seconds before you decided to call a timeout. So maybe it was the game manager in his ear arguing with them on whether to call the timeout or not. But anyways, you called the timeout on a second and 11, right? Which let them re-scheme up a play or re-scheme up plays. Then the next play, it's a loss, a 3-yard loss. Then you get them again for another loss. So now you're looking, or no, it was a loss. But anyways, you're looking at second and 11. Second and 11, you call a timeout when they were rushing to the line to call a play to kind of catch them off guard. You call a timeout and you give them, the whatever the 30 seconds is to call another play. And to the very next play, they come out and throw a touchdown to a wide open guy. So that's just dumb stupidity that cost us games. And that's probably the fourth game that timeout and clock management that we've lost from just timeouts and game management. So, man, that shit's definitely got to change around. But for it to change around, you just have to you have to at one point or another cut your losses. And like I said, I know Mark Davis doesn't want to pay somebody for another year that's not going to be on this team, producing or helping this team. But is it really worth hoping and praying that Antonio Pierce turns it around, because I don't see him turning it around in a year. There's too many mistakes that he makes. There's too much shit that he doesn't know. And, he already needs 15 evaluators and assistants around him, and it still has not helped him one single bit. So, with that, I'm out. Much love. Appreciate y'all. Join me Thursday. Fuck time. Probably same time Thursday, 10:30, somewhere around there. Appreciate y'all. Raiders. I'll probably be on tomorrow afternoon too. Much love. Peace. Oh shit. Cancel that. What the hell happened? Yeah. Ministry.